Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw Matt Chat. It's the monthly show where we answer your questions, which you can send us on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Oh man, you guys take a look at our window right now. Our guest for this month, Simon Miller. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks, man. As we were saying before we got going, I'm pumped to be here. I'm excited, I'm ready, and all just happy words that make people have smiles on their faces.
Is Going In Raw an up in your book?
Yeah, it's a golden up, of course. Come on. That's easy. I don't usually throw golden ups out like that, but I feel like the occasion is correct.
Well, you are, of course. I don't know if you have it near you, but you are the Going In Raw H champion right now. Prior to pandemic happening, you won this title fair and square off Adam Mayhem, who brought a gun to the H title match.
He did.
What was that all about?
Well, he's bonkers. You know that more than anybody. The man lost his damn mind. But that was kind of weird because that was pretty much a year ago. It's just past a year. Like we're a few days past the year. And if you had told me then what was going to happen in the next 12 months, I would have been like, yeah, right. Little did we know. But no, I should have brought that with me. But I don't think, because I'm not a smart man.
Nah, that's all right. It's okay. It's just a H title. Look, once we get back into wrestling, we'll bring it. Like once wrestling happens again, we'll bring you back on the show. And what? By the way, in the wonderful UK, is the wrestling still there? Is like it's probably a ways off, right?
It doesn't exist. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've got offered a few bookings for October, and my response was yes. I look forward to the cancellation email because how are they going to do it? I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong, but yeah. It just it seems very unlikely at the moment. But if they somehow are able to pull it off, I'll be happy to call myself a moron. But no, I think most people have cancelled all their shows for the year, so we'll have to wait till next. But that's all right. There's worse things going on.
Yeah, totally. So before we get into this, where can people find you right now? What have you been up to lately?
Well, you can find me in a bunch of places because clearly I don't know how to just do one thing. But obviously, What Culture Wrestling, that's one place you can go, and you can get a bunch of wrestling content that way. If you want to come call me a bald a-hole at SimonMiller316 on Twitter. I got my own YouTube channel where now it's just become fitness. So if you're not interested in fitness, do not search for my name on YouTube. There's nothing interesting there. And otherwise, yeah, it's just Simon Miller or Simon Miller316 and all those wonderful socials. As I always say, if I knew where I was going to be in 10 years, would I have put 316 at the end of my name on Twitter?
Oh, hell yeah.
No, but hey, I've done now. I like to think that it ruins all credibility I have, but what credibility did I have to begin with? So,
hey, yeah. I'll tell you this, though, before we get started, those fitness videos are something else, man. The thing that I love about Simon's videos is that you break it down in such a layman, like down-to-earth way that I haven't seen before. Like you just cut through the bullshit. And you're so good at it. And if you're into fitness, if you want to get into fitness from the ground level to, the Jack Daddy level, check out Simon's fitness videos. Yes. They're honestly terrific.
Yes. That is very kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. Let's hop right into this. Larson, who's our first match chatter today?
Jacksonville's
number one.
Drink of water, too.
Sorry,
Guion Halili. Let's see what Guion has to say.
Hey there, friendos. This is Jacksonville's number one Matt Chatter, Guion Halili, back with another Matt Chat question for this month. And what I want to know is Roman Reigns aligning himself with Paul Heyman, doing all the things that he's been doing, which is actually really cool. Is this an acknowledgement from WWE that they messed up the first time trying to get Roman Reigns over as a big star, or do they just have their backs against the wall that they're trying anything? Let me know your thoughts. Debate it out, or I don't care what you guys do. You guys are grown men. All right. Later, friendos. Stay safe.
Thank you, Guion. Simon, what do you say? Roman Reigns, he's back. We got sort of a heel alignment with Paul Heyman. Is this WWE saying, yeah, we messed up?
I don't think they messed up. I think if you ask them, they'd be like, no. But the weird thing is, right, I hate saying this. I like to walk on eggshells when I say this because there is no silver lining to, again, we just mentioned it the last few months. There isn't. It's been an absolute nightmare. We know that. However, given the crazy world that it plunged WWE and all of wrestling into, it's given us all these things that we've kind of wanted that I don't think we would have gotten otherwise. Like, to me, Roman Reigns is a heel right now because house shows don't matter, right? And kids aren't going to wrestling shows. And merchandise is not even a priority, right? WWE Shop does its thing. They're not pushing it as much as they once did because they don't need to. So when you look at it all, why the hell wouldn't you bring Roman Reigns back as a heel? And that was always my thing. Again, there's the boring argument of, well, he was a heel anyway because he's getting booed. And yeah, it was true to an extent, but look, the thing for me, when he came back at SummerSlam and he was just spitting fire, straight away I was like, that's the Roman I want. That's the Roman I want right there. And would I have thought that if I hadn't had I actually don't think the Roman stuff was as bad as people now think it was. There were certainly awful moments, but overall, he had some decent feuds. He had some decent matches. It was just this constant fight between the fans and WWE. But no, I don't think they necessarily messed up. I think they should have turned him earlier, sort of 2 years ago, if not before. But again, I don't think at one point we were ever going to get it. So it's hard for me to say that any of this is a mess up because it made his impactful return. Well, it gave it the impact. That's why it has impactful, because of all this stuff. Now we just need to give him new music and new gear, and I'll be a happy man.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm kind of curious. I know that he, I don't know what you can call what, the match was at Payback his first actual match, because, he was still wearing the T-shirt. Is that going to be what he wears? Is he going to come back, when he has an actual match and he signs a contract well in advance of the match instead of, halfway through it?
Yeah.
Well, is he going to have, I don't know about the music, but, for sure, I don't want that chest protector coming back. I want him to get away from the Shield stuff, which would probably include the music too. I'd be down for that if it's a kick and track. I actually do think that there is an acknowledgement in this turn that what they were doing before didn't work the way they wanted it to work. And so I think that's why. Now, I don't think they'd ever consider it a failure, because I think when Vince looks at the numbers, the financial numbers that Roman brought to the company, stuff that we're not necessarily privy to, his merch sales, I don't know, whatever other revenue, you could maybe house show revenue that he was on. I don't know. They probably see Roman Reigns as a success, but they felt the need to change something. So I do think that although Vince McMahon is probably the last person in the world to ever say, yeah, I messed up, I did something wrong, I do think that his change in attitude, if you will, is acknowledgement that something needed to be fixed. I mean, when, I go back to when Stone Cold Steve Austin was off for 9 months or 10 months or a year or whatever it was. When he came back, nothing had really changed. Now, eventually they did at WrestleMania 17 turn him heel, and that was a bad move. But when he first came back, the crowd just wanted him back. They were like, this is the old Stone Cold. That's what we want back. And then when they eventually turned it back to face, it was like, yeah, great. This is what we wanted all this whole time. It's just Stone Cold being Stone Cold. When Roman came back, it's like, oh, cool. He's a little bit different now, and he's doing neat things as opposed to just boring things. So I do think that there was an acknowledgement that, hey, we need to toughen this guy up, make him have an edge. And I guess, making references on Twitter to him being shoved down people's throats because our mouths are open or whatever that was when he responded to a guy. I think it was an acknowledgement that they needed to change things. Failure, no. Change things, yes.
Yeah, Vince will never acknowledge failure, at least publicly.
No, never.
Maybe internally at times. I guess if you could say if they were acknowledging at least some of the shortcomings in Roman Reigns' presentation, or that this is at least somewhat acknowledging some of the shortcomings in his presentation, because if they were confident in bringing him back as old Roman Reigns to pop ratings, that's what they would have done. So his initial push wasn't entirely successful because he is not undisputed face of the company, but he is an undisputed main event player. So to say the Roman Reigns experiment initially on the first run was a failure is false to a degree. But I think more than anything, the heel turn is probably just like, hey, Roman, what do you want to do? Something different. You want to turn heel? Sure. Yeah, that'll pop ratings. Let's just do that. Something tells me that's the extent of the thought put into it.
I wonder how much, I do kind of wonder how much they approach him, or if it's a, hey, we have this idea, and he's just like, yeah, cool, boss, whatever you want to do. I don't know.
I think he probably has more power now than he did. Power's not the right word, but when
influence.
When you're struggling with the ratings, and there's pretty much a universal opinion that, well, this could be better, and you've got Roman Reigns in your back pocket, he probably can go, look, man, just let me be a badass heel, and Vince McMahon would likely go, actually, yeah, that sounds pretty good right about now, because we need something. We don't have anything else. So I actually think, it probably actually benefited him. And look, he must have some kind of stroke, because who else can go away for I think it was the right thing to do, but there would be people in that company, if they decided to go away for 5 months, wouldn't have been brought back in such a strong position. So.
Yeah, I really wonder if walking away from WrestleMania the day prior to filming his match or whatever it was,
Yeah.
I wonder if that emboldened him to think, you know what, I haven't been punished. They keep on bugging me. When am I going to come back? When am I going to come back? I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if he had thought at that point, I actually have a lot of power here. I'm going to do what I want to do from now on. He's going to go full Hogan at this point, start politicking left and right backstage.
But the
Doesn't
thing
work
is,
for me,
right,
brother.
if he does do that, I'm all right with it because
Me too. Yeah.
You mentioned Hulk Hogan, it worked for a time, then it went too far. But you mentioned Stone Cold Steve Austin, he did that too. Like you always hear that story in all these podcasts. What was the most annoying thing about Steve Austin? You go, do you want to do this? He go, nope. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. It's like, and everyone's like, all right, just come up with something for Steve. Whereas maybe Roman's a bit more. I think Roman would be a bit more back and forth, right? Well, how about we do this? And it always works when you give someone control of their character. 9 times out of 10, when they're the top guy, you know, it all comes together. Cena was a different thing, but we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode. Who's our next match chatter, Larson?
We got a question next from Dan B. Take it away, Dan B.
Hey friendos, it's your boy Dan B, the Wrestling Optimist, here with another match chat question. I'm going to try and talk quickly so I can fit everything in under the time limit. So, Payback was way better than it had any right being, ending with Roman Reigns officially being a heel, allying himself with Paul Heyman and winning the Universal Championship. Now, if the rumors are to be believed, he'll be holding that belt until WrestleMania 37, where it will be taken off of him by a face, Bray Wyatt. The question being, how do they plan on turning the Fiend face? Because he's like this evil, horrible entity that everyone is afraid of and everyone knows his horrible powers, and he changes everybody he wrestles with. And I know the fans love Bray Wyatt, but how do they plan on turning the Fiend face? How would you do that? Let me know.
Thank you, Dan B. All right, man.
Dan B.
The Fiend, let's say he's going to be a face now. It seems to be the case. Kind of agree with Dan here. I think it's pretty easy, though. You basically have him feud with a firm heel. Like AJ Styles is probably one of the, for me, I really enjoy AJ Styles as a heel. He's got some kick to him. He's got some snark to him. I really enjoyed this past SmackDown, or the Friday before this past Friday, when he was going at it with Michael Cole on commentary. I thought it was pretty funny, the whole you're manipulating the system stuff. I thought that was good stuff. I'd like to see the Fiend face off against somebody like that who's got a little bit of snark to them. I think that could be a lot of fun, and I think that's how you do it. That's how you say, hey, the Fiend is gonna be fighting in a way that's more, I don't know. I mean, the crowd already likes the Fiend. Like they think he's cool. They think he does cool stuff. In terms of like, how would they make him be more of a good guy? Would be you just fight guys who are like firmly entrenched bad guys like AJ Styles, maybe like a Sami Zayn, which would be a weird feud. So I'd say that. That'd be a really weird feud right there.
It would be a weird feud. So Bray's got 2 gloves. One says help, one says hurt. He listens to the hurt one now. Go away, hurt glove. Listen to the help glove.
Yeah.
That's how you turn him face.
Yeah.
So he listens to the help glove, and then he starts helping people. This old lady trying to cross the street helps her across the street.
Oh, yeah.
Vince is struggling to rewrite the show at the last minute because he tore up the script. In walks Bray Wyatt. Let the Fiend help you rewrite the show.
That's good.
And that could continue into the wrestling ring. We got, you mentioned AJ. How about this? Jeff Hardy's got a match against AJ for the Intercontinental title. AJ's working over that knee. Who comes out to help Jeff Hardy? Bray Wyatt. Of course, Bray has history with his brother. That's the story you could work with there. You're right, Steve. If you want to establish someone as a face, they got to wrestle heels. But I think if you want to get a little more to it, he's got those 2 gloves.
Yeah.
Listen to the help one.
Well, and then like the other one could just say either more, like help more, or help best, help love, whatever.
Yeah.
Simon, what do you got?
Two help gloves.
Well, I think we missed a trick here. At Payback, the ring exploded. And what they should have done is that Bray Wyatt should have gone and helped up Charles Robinson, and then using his toolkit that we've seen, he could have started fixing the ring. And you're like, what a good guy. Look at him helping things out.
Yeah. Gets that giant mallet. Ding, ding, ding.
I like the Fiend. I do not like that giant mallet, but I'll talk about it. I think you guys have hit the nail on the head. It's kind of like Roman, right? If Roman feuds with baby faces, hey, that works. Same with the Fiend. I think it's all going to tie into what happens with Alexa Bliss, because we've all been like, oh, Alexa Bliss is going to go bad now. Well, maybe she doesn't. maybe actually Alexa Bliss, if you put Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt together and you come up with a story that's not cringeworthy or anything like that, people are going to get behind it. People are going to love it. It's something that people have been clamoring for ages, so they'll get all excited. And then, yeah, he'll be a good guy. It's just, when he'll be the Firefly Funhouse Bray, and then when somebody pisses him off and he becomes the Fiend, yeah, if he's taken out an AJ Styles or I don't know, Nakamura, whoever the hell you're gonna do it with, you'd be like, yeah, use your crazy serial killer guy to wreck this person because we don't like them. I guess it's a bit like Terminator 2, right? Same character, but different intent. So I don't think it'll be that hard. People are super behind him anyway. Like, the only criticism I saw of Payback was, oh, why did he only have it for a week? Which was fair. So yeah, I think it's actually relatively simple.
It'd be kind of cool. I really like the idea of the Alexa Bliss pairing, which seems like it's going to happen. And we saw it before where she sort of subdued him a little bit with like a caress on the mask. And if she can be like the guiding light for him to sort of focus his energies into being helpful and not hurtful, then that could be a lot of fun. That
could be. Next, we got a question from Brock without the K. Take it away, Brock.
Hey guys, it is Brock without the K here, and I wanted to ask a question about Brock with the K, Lesnar. And I was wondering, if Brock is truly a free agent, where would you like to see him go other than WWE, and who would he face first? And would it be for a title? All right, thanks, friendos.
All right, thank you, Brock without the K. Larson, what do you think? Brock Lesnar, now a free agent. The world is his oyster. Where should he go?
There's one right answer. It's Minoru Suzuki, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Have them in a feud for an entire year. Sure, never open weight title. Doesn't matter. I want to see them fight like in perpetuity, essentially. That's what I want. Have your standard wrestling match. Have like a pancrase match. I don't care. I want them to fight forever. Outside of that, it'd be really cool. I know Josh Barnett just tweeted that Brock would never fight at Bloodsport. Seeing him at Bloodsport would be pretty cool. But ultimately, I just want to see Minoru Suzuki versus Brock Lesnar in a best of 365.
Oh, wow. That's
match
good.
A day.
Simon, what do you think? Where should Brock go?
It's so hard to answer this because even if somebody offered him 7 gajillion pounds, Vince McMahon's going to offer him 7 gajillion and 1. So it's just, but in terms of in my dream world, New Japan would be right up there because I liked all the stuff he did in the 2000s as well. I thought that was, when they did the whole Kurt Angle Brock Lesnar thing, I was like, man, it's like a fever dream. But I thought that was awesome. But I mean, look, I'm going to be super wrestling Mark fanboy geek man. I want to see him in AEW just for the reaction, not even for my own reaction, just so I can go on to Twitter and watch it absolutely explode. And let's not face it, it would do really good views on YouTube. So that works for me. And I think I would love to see it because it would be a Hogan in WCW moment. It would be all these things that we've seen before. But again, it's an absolute, of course he wouldn't go there. In his head, he is a super duper star, which he is. There's no two ways about it. And he will see AEW as a secondary promotion. It's the same way when people go, oh, maybe he's going to go to Bellator. No, he won't. That's like him going to NXT in WWE. He'd go to UFC because in Brock's head, he's money. Well, who's going to pay me the most? And that's all it is. But yeah, AEW would always be my first port of call because that would be the first proper huge shot fired across the bow. And look, I think it would easily take him over 1 million for a while, if not more. I think people underestimate how much of a draw Brock Lesnar would be because you'd also get all the Laps fans that'd be like, what? And you get the MF fans like, what? Like, everyone would just be blown away. So yeah, that's in my dream world, but I'm going to be a negative Nancy and when he comes back, I'll go to WWE and then win the Rumble and then win a title. Do all these things.
And I'll be smiling the entire time and all purple and weird and stuff.
Doing this.
I kind of, so yeah, if it was a dream world, I would love to wake up one morning, get on Twitter and see all the GIFs from like Lariato or Lucha Blog or whomever with Brock Lesnar showing up in New Japan. I say he joins Bullet Club. Look, let's be honest. Bullet Club hasn't been the same since the Elite left. Have him join Bullet Club. He takes over and he goes on the New Japan Dream Match Tour. Okada and Naito, maybe staying within LIJ. He takes on the King Time Bomb. That could be a fun match because that guy would go crazy with Brock. And as Larson said, of course, Suzuki. if as a business person, Simon, you're 100% right. AEW would be hilarious. Seeing him on BTE with maybe confronting the Dark Order and Mr. Brody Lee and Silver and Reynolds and all those guys would be absolutely a dream.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's too. They would have to concoct something to make, I guess, maybe like a Hangman Page come off as somebody who could actually really challenge Brock Lesnar, because with their big guys, like, yeah, Brody Lee got the TNT title and he basically did a Brock Lesnar, John Cena to Cody. But like, you know, Brody's already lost to like Mox. Lance Archer jobbed out to Cody pretty bad. All the big guys there, like, they're kind of less than impressive. And so he'd have to face somebody like a Hangman or a Kenny Omega. I think it could be fun. You're right, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I think that'd be fun just from a business standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
Although, how great would it be to put Impact really back on the map for Brock Lesnar to stroll down that completely empty, echoey arena they got going on in Impact right now and like beat Eric Young in like, you know, -3 seconds to be the new Impact champion. They seem to have endless money. They have money. They can give him money. Somehow they have money. It's crazy.
Everyone would moan, but we'd love it. That's not. I would love it if I woke up and read that Eric Young just lost to Brock Lesnar in an empty. I'd be like, "This is the best thing that's ever happened in the history of wrestling."
It would literally turn 2020 right around.
Yeah, it would. It would.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so now we've got Dirty Rich, and he's got a question about the NXT call-up. Let's see what he has to say.
Friendo's Rich the Smash Bro with his monthly Matt Chat question. Now, I was thinking after Keith Lee's call-up was announced that how shitty the call-ups have been over the last year. And not in terms of star power, in terms of how it's done. Remember back in the day, we wouldn't know, mostly, who was going to, you know, debut after WrestleMania, who was going to get called up after SummerSlam. But we had Matt Riddle, his brought up to main roster spoiled. We had Keith Lee spoiled. We had Shayna Baszler randomly show up. We had Bianca Belair randomly show up. So the point of my question is, has WWE ruined the surprise of the NXT call-up? In my opinion, yes, they have. Because I enjoyed tuning in like the day after WrestleMania or a big event and not knowing who's going to show up or what may happen. So, as always, let me know. I got to finish getting that care package ready, boys. Take care.
Thank you, Dirty Rich. Simon, what do you say? Has WWE ruined the surprise NXT call-up?
Ruin's a bit strong. Would I prefer it if they did it differently? Yes. But I don't think that just goes for NXT. I think that goes for them bringing back people regardless. But the problem is, again, I don't like putting my business hat on, but it just happens. I'd probably do it as well. If you know it's going to pop ratings and your number one priority right now is ratings, like, it's really hard to sit here and go, oh, they're ruining stuff. It's like, yeah, but I get it. I understand it. You're not doing it just to be dicks. You have a plan. It's just not a plan that's fun for me because I'm going to watch regardless who's on the show. So I get to have that, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. So it's kind of difficult because, and also you have to question, I don't know how true this is, but my gut tells me the majority of the NXT audience is probably watching Raw and SmackDown anyway. So I don't think it will be a surprise, but you may get, an extra 100,000 fans? If you don't, if you do, I don't know. I know Ruin seems a bit strong, but I do miss the art of the WWE surprise. Absolutely. It's why Edge coming back at the Rumble, even though we kind of knew, I didn't really, I bought into his tweets enough to believe, it could happen, but I'm not 100%. That's all I need, right? I just need to be on the fence. So yeah, Ruin's a little bit strong for me, but it does suck, of course. There's nothing more fun. Like, because Kevin Owens wasn't announced, was it, when he came out to take on John Cena?
That's probably the best one. That's
in my head. That's in my head. It was flipping awesome. So yes, I would love to do more stuff like that, but also it was a long ass time ago now, and we're kind of living in a different world. But Keith Lee recently would have been better. But then I would counter that but he wasn't going to get a fan pop anyway. So maybe it's actually imperative that you do tell people this guy is a star, because I know a bunch of my casual friends who don't watch NXT, they respond by the reaction of the crowd. Oh, I better take care of, who's this guy? He's got a huge reaction. So I would like them to do more. But yeah, being a right boring old so-and-so, I kind of get it. So it's hard for me to be too negative about it.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing about Kevin Owens' call up too was that he was still the NXT champion and he was there for a purpose. This belt is no third-rate belt. This is not, a second-tier title. I'm here to say that I'm the NXT champion and I can hang with any of you guys, which was so brilliant about that. I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel like, and I know I might be called a shill for this one. Look, WWE has ruined plenty of call-ups. Plenty. I still remember, dude, like watching Bob Roode try to figure out how humans smile.
Yeah.
When he came out for his call-up was so awkward and weird. That poor guy. I felt so bad for him. But just before the pandemic, Shayna was a surprise call-up. She showed up and she bit Becky Lynch on the neck. I thought that was pretty decent. I think with Keith, the crazy thing about Keith Lee is that they actually kind of got to have their cake and eat it too, because they advertised him for Raw, but I never would have thought in a million years he would come out and interrupt Randy Orton. Like, we both thought for sure it was going to be, okay, Keith Lee's going to debut in a promo and Dolph Ziggler was going to interrupt him, and then we'd get 6 months of that.
A week later, we were right, but anyways.
Right, but then he was also in the main event to compete for the title, so it's like, with that, it's like, if you want to announce it, okay, I get it. Like you said, for ratings, that makes sense. But at least when they actually get inserted into the show, make that in a shocking, surprising way. So yeah, they can kind of do them both. They have sort of lost the art of the big surprise. Although I was actually, I don't know about shocked, but I was pretty surprised when Edge came back. I don't know if I really bought into his tweets necessarily. I was just like, man, like that dude was messed up when he left. Like, is this really going to happen? And then it did. It was like, holy crap. Like, and I think we even talked about it like in our Rumble prediction. We're like, this isn't going to happen at the Rumble because he's going to lose. And like, nobody's going to lose at the Rumble. But
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But in fact, I mean, I think they've done that a couple times. So we should probably learn from that. So yeah, I would say that, have they ruined it? Like you said, it's a bit strong. They could do it better, but then that's just WWE's thing. And they could do everything better. So there you go.
They could. Yeah, Simon's right. You go back to when Brock came back in 2012. They spoiled his return on Twitter because they wanted people to see that on social media and be like, "Oh shit, Brock's back," and tune in. And it's that mindset that they think, all right, for returns or debuts on cable television, we'll advertise that in advance so people watch and gets the rating numbers up. Any sort of surprise these days only really happens, or by and large happens, on pay-per-view. Roman at SummerSlam, Edge, those are still by and large unspoiled. But if there's gonna be anything, anybody debuting on TV or returning on TV, yeah, they're gonna spoil that because they want people to watch to get those ratings up.
I will say this though, the Brock showing up at Money in the Bank and winning that, that was a pretty dope surprise. Like, I don't think what preceded that? Was there any like indication that was gonna happen?
No, he just lost the.
Had he just lost the title at like Mania or something to Seth? Was that right?
Months,
something like that. Roman, Braun, Seth, something like that.
That wasn't Seth.
That was a hell of a surprise.
He lost it to Roman.
Okay,
that was when he beat him at Mania. Then they had the cage match at
Saudi
Crown Royal or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
And then right after that, didn't Roman beat him?
That was a hell of a Money in the Bank moment, though. I mean, I know people were pissing all over that because it was like Mustafa Ali's to lose, and he was like doing the cat batting at the yarn thing with it. And then Brock shows up, and it's like, oh crap, that was a pretty big surprise.
And then he's up there just laughing at the top of the ladder.
Yeah. Again, the surprise is that amazing. It's like when John Cena came back at the 2008 Royal Rumble, right? I love that return because the Madison Square Garden kind of like, oh my gosh, it's John Cena. Then 30 seconds like, oh no, wait, we don't like John Cena. And they start booing him. And that kind of just sums up wrestling returns. The return will get the surprise will get you, but after you process the information, much like, wait a minute, this means we're about to job out Mustafa Ali again. It's like, damn it. I'll always take it. I love a wrestling surprise. Nothing better.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we've got Christopher Rappersod talking about the legacy of a couple of WWE superstars. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello, Larson and Steve Rollins. I'm really loving to hear this, Steve. Great look for you. Keep it up. So my question is, when Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns, retire and they're about to go in the Hall of Fame, what will people remember them for? Because I feel like they're both the most overrated wrestlers because how they've been booked. I know they have the accolade, but look how they've been booked and stuff. I know Roman is right now going through a different transition, but can they save Bray? Like, to me, his career it's been a weird one. What do you guys think? I'm just being honest. I feel like Bray Wyatt is overrated. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Christopher Ebersod. Man, it's great to see Christopher back. I missed him. He wasn't on last month, was he? Was he?
That was a month ago. I don't remember.
I don't remember anything. Anyways, I go first on this one.
Sure.
Here's what I think. I think Roman is going to be remembered as, look, you put Roman Reigns in as many WrestleMania matches, main events as he's been in, he will be remembered as the guy of this generation. He probably won't be remembered in the same light necessarily as Cena, Austin, and Hogan, who I think are kind of all like the big names of like the past like 40 years in terms of like who are the top guys of the company. And it's basically because, and look, there's still time for that to turn around. I totally think that it could still happen for Roman. But I think he's going to be remembered like better than like in a higher level than guys like top guys of their generations like Nash. I know they really wanted Sid to be the top guy of his generation. I think Roman's going to be considered, and I think he's already considered as having a better legacy like than the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. So I think he's going to be seen as like the top guy of a pretty profitable time for the WWE when there's like a lot of mixed feelings. But I think he's going to be considered as a top guy, just not like top tier top guy, but like maybe just under that. I think Bray's going to be seen as a creative genius who's way ahead of his time. I think that that we might see more of the type of things that he's doing right now. We might see that in 5 to 10 years, things like the Fiend or even like his previous iteration. I think we're going to see more of that kind of thing. I think he's going to be seen as kind of a revolutionary figure in wrestling. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, you're right on with Bray there. He's going to be seen as a great, brilliant, creative mind. Pushing the boundaries of what wrestling storytelling can be. He already did that with the Firefly Funhouse match. Easily my favorite match of 2020, maybe my favorite matches ever. Brilliant talker. Yeah, sometimes he doesn't really have anything to do. He just kind of spews a bunch of words out, but it always sounds really good. But if he's got a point to what he's saying, he's magnificent. Roman, granted, the jury's still out because he's got a lot of career ahead of him. I think he would be seen as one of the top guys of his era again, not the top guy. But I think people always have the sense that here's a guy who was never really given a chance to develop organically. Apart from maybe that year or so in the Shield. But after that, they seem to put a rocket on him and want him to be in the main event right away rather than building to it. 'Cause remember the Rumble that Batista won, where Roman had a bunch of eliminations. The crowd was behind him then. You know, and if they had just said, all right, you're going to have a strong showing this year, next year, another strong showing in the Rumble. In between, we'll get you in some interesting feuds. We're going to develop your character, get the fans behind you, and maybe WrestleMania 32 or 33, then we'll get you in the main event scene, in the title, the main picture and whatnot. Instead, WrestleMania 31, the main event, and everybody crapped on it. And if he was given a chance to develop organically, I think he could have been the face of the company guy. When Stone Cold started getting popular, they didn't put him in the main event of WrestleMania right away. It took like a year and a half later from Austin 316 to him winning almost 2 years, getting the belt off Shawn. They took their time with Stone Cold, and it worked. I think that's when wrestling personalities connect best with fans, is when they're given time to develop and people get to know them over the course of time. But Roman never had that chance, really.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Again, it's so difficult to actually know because Roman could have 10 more years and absolutely smash it. But if he had to retire tomorrow, yeah, his legacy is going to be somewhat divisive, right? Mostly because of the internet and social media and how that's kind of, a lot of the opinions that some people have actually forget some of the cool matches like he had with Brock Lesnar or Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles. These are really good matches. Not necessarily great feuds, but really good matches. But in terms of pulling the rug out from underneath him, I think you just look at something like the John Cena feud when they were allowed to go out there and just rip each other to shreds. And it was over in like a minute. They're like, oh, I was just getting into this. So it's always been stop, start. Even when we're like, oh, he's going to win the title at WrestleMania, but then they'll hold it off to the next pay-per-view just to make you go, oh, we got you. And all of that has kind of, it's diminishing returns. But yeah, I think this is really the first time and we've heard about it for long enough, when the star of WWE is WWE, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be happening with John Cena, but John Cena was able to transcend and become somewhat of a mainstream star. And this is the time they've absolutely cramped down on that, to their detriment, to be fair. And Roman has been someone that suffered to do that. But at the same time, as we've already seen, he has come back in the last couple of weeks, and there is renewed interest in the product. Ratings have gone up. And admittedly, there could be the Thunderdome and who knows what else. But from what I can see on paper, he absolutely does have some draw, some pull, and that does make him a top guy. So I think he will be seen that way. And much like John Cena, I think in hindsight, I'll actually be considered better than he is at the moment by some. As for Bray Wyatt, I think he's going to be a dude who, at a much, much higher level than this. But outside of the wrestling bubble, not a lot of people know who he is, but inside the wrestling bubble, just considered a genius. So, you always hear Raven's name come up, right? Oh, Scotty Levy, he knows, so good at wrestling. He just gets wrestling. Scott Hall too. Oh my gosh, Scott Hall can just come up with his ideas. I think Bray Wyatt is going to be the number one of those guys. But he'll be the number one because not only was he able to become a world champion and a main eventer, he's probably not only going to continue to do all this crazy stuff on his end, but when it comes time to wind down his career and give back being as a producer, an agent, whatever, he's going to make all these other people really, really good as well. So I think he'll be the top tier of those guys. And again, I think wrestling fans will just think he's incredible because he is. Like he can't control his booking, which is the only criticism I have of him. Everything else, I'm like, how the hell did you come up with that? It's brilliant. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. So we've been asked this question before, like, Austin had his 316 moment, right? Becky Lynch even had her moment where she was all bloodied up. Austin also had his bloody moment.
It's Bret Hart.
Was Roman lacking the one singular kickoff moment?
See, I think he's had it.
What was it? What do you think it was?
The difference is, with the two you just mentioned, WWE capitalized on it. I mean, they took their time with Becky Lynch, but they did it. But on that night after WrestleMania 33, when he beat The Undertaker, and he stood in that room for 12 minutes and got booed constantly and then just said three words whatever and walked off. Yeah. If they had turned him then, I think he would have become Mega Roman. But instead, the next week, he was exactly the same. And it was like, okay, that didn't mean anything. Great. Yeah. Awesome.
What a great point. That's actually a great point. Were you in town for that? Because Larson and I went to that one. And being there for Raw, it was insane. That moment was crazy live. It was absolutely crazy.
That was really crazy. Really crazy.
Let's see here. Next up, we've got TNA for Life asking a question about general managers. Let's see what he has to say.
What is up, friendos? It's your boy TNA for Life. I'm back, and I got a Matt Jack question for you, Steve and Larson. So, I actually really enjoyed this week's Raw, even though there was a lot of weird stuff going on. The one thing that really was driven home for me is the fact that there isn't one official authority figure. You had Pat Buck being an authority over Nia Jax. You have people blaming Tom Phillips and the commentary for things that are going on Raw when they clearly even in kayfabe would have nothing to do with that. I want to know how you guys would solve this. Do you think it's just we need a GM of Monday Night Raw? And we've seen little hints of it with Adam Pearce on SmackDown, and they show that referees kind of have almost a general manager of authority nowadays. So I'm just curious what you guys think. If you guys agree that's kind of how it is nowadays as far as kayfabe goes, and if you think we should have a general manager. Thank you guys so much. Too sweet, a hearty handshake. Peace out.
Thank you, TNA for Life. Larson, what do you say? Does Raw need a new GM?
They don't need a GM. They need Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce.
Scrap Iron.
In charge.
Scrap Iron. Get him in there.
GM Scrap Iron. Put Adam Pearce in charge of Raw and SmackDown. Don't necessarily call him a general manager. I like the role he's filling now, where he just makes sure the ship's smooth sailing.
He's like glue. He's like the glue of the show.
Yeah, man. He's all about keeping everything together. The ship must sail smoothly. I was trying to say earlier. That's what we need. We need someone to, like Regal at NXT. Yeah, he's the authority figure, but he just makes sure the place doesn't fall apart.
Barely.
Yeah. And that's what I want for Scrap Iron. Adam Pearce, he's the glue that keeps it together. He's the duct tape that keeps Raw and SmackDown from falling apart. He doesn't have to be in every segment. He didn't even have to book matches all the time. Just know that he's there and he's the one holding it all together. He's great. I don't know why they haven't had this guy on camera earlier, because he's fantastic.
I know.
Vince
seems to really like him now. Simon, what do you say? Who do you like for Raw GM?
That will ruin my life. I mean, I woke up after SmackDown, so Miller, you on SmackDown? Miller, you're on SmackDown.
Yeah, I was just thinking that when we brought up Adam Pearce. Was like, Simon, in my head, I was like, Simon kind of looks like Adam Pearce. I wonder if he knows that.
I'll take it over the other guy. If you know, you know. If you don't know, let's not talk about it. To me, and I hate doing this because just light the fire. Just do it like AEW does it. We never see Tony Khan, but we know that he's in the background. So if unlike Raw, where magical things will literally quite happen for no reason, all I need to know is I can go, oh, Tony Khan must have made that match. That's all it is. It's a plot device. It's like Jack Tunney back in the day, right? Oh, that must have been. Do you remember when Jack Tunney used to sit at his desk and you cut for him for 30 seconds and he basically go, well, I think we should do this. Like, all right, thanks, Jack. That's really good of you. Awesome. So yeah, I would just do that. And Adam Pearce could do that. Why not? He's already been established in the story. The reason this question comes up is because when Raw or SmackDown or any WWE show, not including NXT, has a GM, they're in the first segment, they're in the second segment, they're in this segment, blah, blah. And that's fine when it's Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, even Eric Bischoff, they're a character that can bring something. But that whole thing is tried and tested and boring and played out. So you just need to know if a magical 6-man tag team match happens, somebody said, I want this match, as opposed to, because the worst is when you watch people that don't watch wrestling and they were like, how does that happen? I was like, it just does. They go, what do you mean it just does? It just does. It just happens and we accept it and we move on.
It's on our screen. There's a card on our screen and it tells us what's going to happen.
And then the team loses, they have to break up for some reason.
For some reason. Because it says it on the card. Whoever in digital is putting together the cards, they're making the decisions.
Yeah. And then you just go, it's fake, right? It's fake. It's not real. It's
I know, exactly.
Bull crap. It's all bull crap. So yeah, that's what I would do.
So I'll go a different way. So here's the thing. I think, Simon, I probably like your response best. I think Adam Pearce should stick to being. I would love to actually see him as GM of SmackDown, because it's like a smaller show and he's been more established there. I was actually surprised to see him on Raw the other night. I was like, wait a second, I thought he was a SmackDown guy, but apparently he's like an everything tool. I'm gonna say this. I'll say if there's one guy who should be a GM of Raw and be present on camera, opening the show, opening the second hour, inserting himself way too much. It's going to be one of two guys that I love to see, Mark Henry or Samoa Joe. Either of those guys, I can't get enough of those guys. And so I would like to see them on my TV. I'd be totally fine if they were the Raw general manager. Although, yeah, I really like how they do it, either in AEW or NXT, where you know who's in charge. You never see him. You see him in behind the scenes videos sometimes. You know that they're there. You know that there's a committee or there's a guy or whatever. I also like how NXT does it, how it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of chaos going on, but Regal's there just to duct tape it together, make sure that it's barely on the verge of falling apart. Okay, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't fall apart. War Games. Oh, we got a tie here in the 60-minute Iron Man match next week. Next week we'll do overtime, because we can't do overtime because USA puts limits on us now. And we need to boost ratings next week so they can move us to a different night. So yeah, I'd say if I had to choose, Samoa Joe, Mark Henry, because I'd like to see them on my TV even more than I see them right now. Mark Henry, I barely see ever.
You've hit the nail on the head there, because if you give it to Samoa Joe, I'm never going to mind, because I want to see Samoa Joe.
True.
That's pretty good idea.
Dude, I could listen to that guy talk all day long.
Yeah.
It's great. Next up, we've got Church Jackson in the house, who has a question about people at the Firefly Funhouse. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, Steve and Larson. Church Jackson here. My Going on Raw question of the week is this. If you could put top 5 celebrities in Bray Wyatt's Funhouse, who would they be and why? That's it. Too sweet, hearty handshake. Oh, and by the way, Steve, it's okay to be a metalhead. Grow that mustache out. I'm a metalhead. I give you my seal of approval. Bye.
Thank you, Church.
Thank you, Church.
I appreciate him saying that it's okay for me to be a metal guy. I'm going to keep on growing this hair out, see if I can do that. I'll grow my little dirt mustache, too.
Yeah.
Simon, what do you say? top 5 celebrities that you'd put in Firefly Funhouse.
Definitely one of the most random questions I've had for a long ass time, but I like it. I like thinking outside the box, which is what the Firefly Funhouse is. My first choice was Matthew McConaughey, because Matthew McConaughey is kind of a crazy dude anyway, but also he's a massive wrestling fan. Like he loves like Texas wrestling and the Von Erichsen stuff. He's absolutely obsessed. So I put him in there because I'm guessing he's going to have some kind of transformation back to who even knows what. But he'd do that, and then I'd follow up with Tom Cruise. Obviously, you always have to put Tom Cruise in that situation because, I mean, that guy's flying by his own way in
he's on
Earth.
He's on my list too because
really?
of all of his crazy Scientology stuff.
Right?
Him and Bray
Actually,
would
he'd
get
make
along
quite a
great.
compelling character.
Yeah, he would. He'd do the crazy laugh and everything.
Or maybe he goes in there and he just becomes normal. He's just like a real normal, basic dude. You're like, okay.
He suddenly ages like 10 years, so he actually looks like he's like in his mid-50s. He looks like in his 30s now.
It's
weird. 57, and I saw a video the other day, and I look older than him. I was like, no,
dude, seriously,
rich and famous.
I maintain that the plot to Top Gun 2 should be everybody just weirded out by how Maverick hasn't aged a day since Top Gun 1. Like, I think Val Kilmer's supposed to be in that movie.
Yeah.
And as you guys might know, he's got he had throat cancer, I think. So he looks his age. And it's kind of, but it's like, how is it everybody else that appeared in the last movie has literally aged and he hasn't a day? And that needs to be the central plot device, figuring out how he hasn't aged.
Yeah,
it's weird. Anyways, who else is on your list?
My number 3 is a bit of a cheat, but he's not a wrestler anymore. He's a celebrity. So I put Dwayne Johnson in there to see if he would, go back to being The Rock, like from 1997 or something.
That'd be awesome.
So I'd throw him in there. And also, that's just ratings. That's just money. Also, Church didn't actually establish if they had to be alive or dead. So I would put Leslie Nielsen in there as well.
Oh, good.
He has,
that's good.
He has. He was searching for the Undertaker. Did his job. Actually, no, he didn't do it that well because there was 2 of them. So he didn't do his job well. He didn't do his job well at all. But again, that's something that you can, bring back to life. One of my favorite skits ever as a kid. Even though now you watch, you're like, this is not good television. This is not good TV at all. And my last one, I kind of ummed and ahed. And then I thought, you know what? If I'm trying to all tie them into wrestling, of course, I would put the one and only Donald Trump in there. The man that shaved Vince McMahon's head, helped out Bobby Lashley. So there's a lovely thing we could go back to. And again, I just think that would be unbelievable. So they would be my 5.
Yeah, Trump would actually, I'll be honest with you, that would actually be pretty entertaining. I would just want it to happen after he's out. And he just has nothing better to do. I think that'd be. You
could just lock him in there.
There you go. Yeah. Or I mean, maybe he would tank his polls if he showed up on Firefly Funhouse, and that would help us. Anyways, before we get into that, I'll go next. So, like I said, I have Tom Cruise on my list as well. The crazy Scientology stuff. I'll go with this one now. Given that Firefly Funhouse and Firefly Bray is obviously inspired a little bit, at least, by Mr. Rogers, I'm going to put Tom Hanks in there. You want box office? You want huge ratings? Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers from the movie he did. He goes in there, but he leaves as Tom Hanks from Castaway because you always revert to something prior. I also have still the current reigning WWE box office champion, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I want to see Arnold in there because I think that'd be hilarious. He can talk about gerrymandering, and he could bring his. Doesn't he have like some donkeys or some goats or something that he does?
He's got quite an assortment of animals at his house. Yeah,
he can bring them. Hey, how you doing, Bray? Look, here's my goat. Take a look at him. And then, as you've said, alive or dead. This is kind of obscure, but give me Orson Welles.
Good.
I'd like to see him battle it out with Bray in the Firefly Funhouse. Let's get some auteur directing. The man behind Citizen Kane, Touch of Evil.
How about that? Huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Orson Welles. Larson, who do you got in the Firefly Funhouse?
So I got Kyle MacLachlan. David Lynch alumni, Kyle MacLachlan.
That's good.
Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit out there.
Spot on.
Speaking of a bit out there, Crispin Glover.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Hey, man.
And then for me, next is a toss-up between Lady Gaga or Missy Elliott.
That's good.
Lady
are
Gaga
good
could
ones.
go in a meat dress. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for sure, I want Lil Wayne in there.
Lil Wayne needs to be in there.
Lil Wayne needs
that
to
should
be
happen.
in the Firefly Funhouse. I think
That
that'd
should
be awesome.
happen. I'll toss one more in there, and it's just to pay homage to Simon Miller because he's here today. The cast from The Young Ones. Because
there you go.
Because Simon, I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually spent 4 years of my childhood in lovely England because my dad was Air Force, and so I got to experience when I was a kid in the '80s The Young Ones, and it was like one of my favorite shows because it was so naughty. Yeah,
it was. It was indeed. I like that. There you go, tying it all in.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we've got CM Punk Sweden with a question about fantasy booking. Let's see what he has to say.
The next WrestleMania card. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. But if you fantasize book the rest of the card, and you can involve some wrestlers from AEW or New Japan Wrestling. What do you think? Hardy handshake. Too sweet. Over and out. Ciao.
Thank you, CM Punk Sweden. All right,
you.
man. WrestleMania 37. Let's just, man, I just hope pandemic is done by then. We can get like a giant 80,000. I don't know how big that LA
I
stadium
think it's
is.
pretty huge, man.
It's probably pretty huge. So tons and tons and tons of people all coughing each other's mouths and nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
So this is my lineup here. Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Big E. Big E wins.
You got that right.
WWE Championship. Keith Lee versus Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. That's a really boring match. I don't know why I did that one. I was like, who are the biggest names over there now? Okay, it's those guys. Cool. Intercontinental Championship. I want to revisit this feud and see if they can get it right. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the IC title. They had their WWE title feud, and it was just kind of lackluster. I want a real good feud between these two to harken back truly to their New Japan days. For the United States Championship, I want to see Adam Cole Bebe versus Bob Lashley, who'll keep it until WrestleMania. Wow. I think that could be a lot of fun. You have the Hurt Business versus the Undisputed Era. That could be a lot of fun.
That'd be good.
For Raw and SmackDown tag titles, the WWE is so bereft of tag teams these days. Just unify the damn titles. So Raw and SmackDown tag unification title bout. The New Day versus the Street Profits. So the New Day walk away with all the titles there at WrestleMania.
Great.
And then Raw Women's title. Asuka versus the returning Charlotte Flair. So Asuka can finally get her win back over Charlotte Flair. Her WrestleMania win back, I should say. Asuka retains. And then SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley versus Sasha, but this time in a 60-minute Iron Woman match with Becky Lynch as the guest referee. That's my WrestleMania 37 card.
That's good. That's
Mama
good.
Lynch is back.
So I got Edge versus Orton. That seems to be a shoo-in.
That's a good
because Edge
one.
should be healthy by then. Not for 8 titles. You're right on with Roman versus Big E. Big E goes over after winning the Royal Rumble. He's Universal Champ. I got Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee for WWE title.
Okay, good.
Sasha versus Bayley with some sort of stipulation. Asuka versus Shayna.
Okay.
And then for the IC title, Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Nice.
And then for the U.S. title, Bob Lashley versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh, for the United States. Okay, good. I like that. Simon, what do you got for WrestleMania 37?
Well, all my predictions are now gone, which is always the worst thing about when you go last. But the one I will double down on is Roman versus Big E, with Big E winning the Universal title. That just seems to make all the sense in the world to me. And then in your other championship match, it should be Keith Lee. Again, I'm just going to go out on a whim here and have some fun versus Brock Lesnar. Keith Lee beats Brock Lesnar.
I like that.
That's gonna establish that, man. And yeah, just to kind of shake up the other ones that I had for things that would be cool. Asuka versus Ronda Rousey. If you could get her to come back,
that's great.
I would be down for that. I'm also 100% all right with Sasha versus Bayley whenever they do split up, which I believe will be for WrestleMania. But yeah, you hit it on the nail on the head, man. Just come up with a cool stip, cage match, Hell in a Cell, last woman standing. I don't care, because you never do that with the women, right? They never get to really have some fun. So do that, make it be the big blow off, and then whoever's the face and the heel you can decide upon. And then I'll try and pull one more out. I mean, you got to do something with Daniel Bryan I like the idea versus Jeff Hardy, but I think I'd probably taking on the whole AJ Styles thing that Lawson, you said I would do. Sorry, you said Steve. I would do Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Try and have that match that you would have seen, because that's what when Daniel Bryan was going to leave, he was like, "Oh man, I'll go to New Japan and I'll fight Nakamura." And I was like, "Yeah, you will."
Yeah.
So I'll do that. And just as an absolute out of nowhere one, Jeff Cobb versus Bobby Lashley.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Cobb comes to WWE. I like that a lot. Yeah, no, I love the Daniel Bryan Shinsuke thing. I think even Shinsuke has said that he came to WWE partially because he wanted to fight Daniel Bryan.
That's true. So,
yeah, that'd be great.
Old roommates fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, AJ Styles does something. He has a match. There you go. That's what he does. He's the host.
AJ versus Taker would be. I'd be down to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I really would, because I think AJ Styles is so good. He'd be able to figure something out. I wouldn't even mind if Undertaker went back on his word again. I don't know why people get mad about that. I just don't care. Oh, he's ruined his legacy. All right, it's his legacy. Exactly. He does with his legacy. Good for him.
Honestly, his legacy is set in stone. Even if he, comes out and drops an actual turd in the ring, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
He'll be fine. Nobody will be like, everybody will be like, "Oh man, remember a great Undertaker? Remember that weird day when he came out and like literally shat in the ring? That was weird, but he's great. Yeah,
he's great. I mean, yeah.
We've got a text question to finish this off today from Luis Araiza, and he says, if you were to create a new Wyatt family, who would you put in it? Any brand and maybe an indie talent. Glad I get to go last here because I didn't have an answer.
Oh, okay.
So I'm writing mine down.
I'll say Bo Dallas, Bray's brother. He should be involved. Remember years ago when there was talk of making Sarah Logan's sister Abigail? Oh, yeah. Bring Sarah Logan back. Have her a new Wyatt family. Mm-hmm. And then also Nick Cage, since he's going to be a guest on Firefly Funhouse.
Sorry, for a second I thought you said Nick Gage. He's going to join the WWE.
Am I assuming that Bray Wyatt is leading this Wyatt family? Yeah, or is it meant to be a new Wyatt that's leading it?
I would say it'd be a Wyatt family, so it'd be him. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be quite boring, but what I would do is I would have Bray Wyatt lead it, and then I would have all the people that are on pictures on his wall join in with his madness, right?
I like
so you could choose. You could have Kane, you could have Finn Balor. Technically, you could have Jerry Lawler. You could have Mankind, Mick Foley. I can't remember who else that he went after during the John Cena. You could have. I mean, that wouldn't happen, but yeah, that's what I would do. I don't think you need to bring the Wyatt family back, but if you are going to do it, at least create some kind of a buzz. Realistically, I put Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor. I think Bo Dallas is a great shout because that story writes itself. And then if you need a fourth one, you're not going to bring the mayor of Knox County back, whoever the hell Jacobs is doing. I'd have to sit down and see, because my brain says, put Samoa Joe in him. Like, don't put Samoa Joe in it. Samoa Joe doesn't need to be in a faction. That's absolute nonsense. So maybe just something like that, which ties into, because you're going to have to segue out of the whole Fiend Firefly Funhouse stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why he does it. I don't know. I think at this stage you probably want to leave that alone. But if you were going to do it, that's what I would do.
I'm gonna go with two indie names. Well, I guess I don't know how indie they are now because I think they're both with Ring of Honor. But I'm gonna go with Danhausen and Brody King to be in the new Wyatt family. You have Rowan return, Eric Redbeard. And then, of course, Bo. You got to put Bo in there. Yeah. And then Alexa Bliss. I think that's a solid Wyatt family right there.
That is good. Yeah. That is good. I want to add Taurus from AAA. Taurus in the Wyatt family.
Taurus.
So you got Taurus, great. Bo, Sarah Logan, Nick Cage, Bray Wyatt.
Nick Cage and Nick Gage.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, both.
You put them both in there.
Yeah, there you go.
If we can grab people too, get Abaddon or whatever she's called from AEW.
Yeah. Oh yes.
She's great. That gimmick. The reason I say Abaddon or whatever is because I keep calling her Abandon by accident, and then I get confused about what her name is. But she's awesome. She's really, really good. So yeah,
I always have to remember how to say her name too. I always want to say Abaddon, but it's Abaddon.
I don't know what
Abaddon.
It is. But she's awesome, and she has managed to do this incredible thing where that should be really dumb, and it's not. It absolutely works 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's
really
terrific.
Does.
She's
really
terrific.
Does.
Well, Simon, thank you so much for being here with us today for Matt Chat. You're an absolute delight, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Now, like I say, it's an absolute joy, and we should do it more often. And of course, thank you so much for hooking me up with an H title match against against Adam Mayhem, who, let's not forget, I did beat. Let's never
That's true.
forget that.
That's true. Despite that, he brought a gun to the ring.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it back to like, to prominence, because my God.
It. As soon as we can, we'll get to defending it. As soon as
dude. Well,
that sounds great.
Can we arrange to like walk you to the ring one day? That'd be fun.
We should have done it already. So yes, 100%. We got to get it done.
Let's get it done.
We'll do it.
Anyways, thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.